Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nintendo Pow Block here on Bosch Rush Games. I'm your host, the enlightened, excited Eddie V. Joining me is the devastating Dungeoneer, Mr. David Laxby.
Hey, everybody.
The indie insider himself, Mr. Dan Murphy.
How's everybody doing tonight?
And our special guest from Games Rant, or Game Rant, the one, the only, Mr. Greysun Morales.
Hello. Thanks for having me again. I am very excited to be back.
Thank you guys for joining me. It has been a day of news. We got like a fantastic show planned for you guys. You are going to really enjoy this. We definitely is going to be talking about the Pokemon Direct that has happened, and we're going to kind of be giving thoughts more about Pokemon in general. But we're going to get quickly to some housekeeping. This is episode 235 of Nintendo Pow Block podcast. Each and every week we come together to talk about games and everything we love about them with our friends. You could join us live on Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/BoschRichGames live and be a part of the conversation. But if you can't join us live, no big deal. You can head over to youtube.com/BoschRichGames and BoschRichGames.com to watch the show or listen on your podcast service of choice on Wednesdays. Remember to subscribe, follow, rate, and review wherever you consume us. It helps us with discoverability, and check out our family shows wherever you listen to your podcast. And everybody also join us on our Discord at Bosch Rush Games. Now that that's out of the way, how was everybody's weekend? Grayson, how was your weekend?
It was pretty good. I spent the majority of the time kind of just lounging and relaxing. I've been playing Persona 5 Strikers a lot the past few days, so that's been my game right now. But yeah, it was fine. Nothing out of the ordinary. Stayed home.
David, how was your weekend?
Well, you're going to like this, Ed. I've been playing a lot of Colonial Marines for Xbox 360. Now, I continued, my son has been really excited about the Aliens franchise as he's kind of old enough to watch now. So we watched AVP together, which he was over the top because Fortnite's latest skin is to include the Xenomorph and Ripley. They already had Predator earlier in the Fortnite season, so he's like through the roof. So that was fun. So we've been doing that. So it was good.
I put out a Twitter poll, and I forgot, and I didn't get to do this because it tied up. So I'm gonna do one for tomorrow. That I'm going to the stream between Until Dawn or Alien Isolation, and it's tied up right now. So I need someone to break that tie. So I'm gonna put the poll back up.
What's your vote, Grayson?
Until Dawn. That game is awesome.
Really?
I haven't played Alien Isolation, so I guess
I can't
say it's better. I can't say Until Dawn is a better game, but it's a good, fun horror game.
Okay, David, what do you choose?
I mean, I got to put my vote in for Alien Isolation just because I think the storytelling is awesome and it's a truly terrifying game. Although Ed doesn't get scared about anything, so.
Okay. Dan, you are the tiebreaker again. Which one? Alien Isolation, where I play against aliens, or Until Dawn, where I play as teenagers and it's quick time events?
I haven't played either of those games, and nor have I heard of them. Maybe we should defer to the Twitch chat.
Okay. Twitch chat. If you guys are watching and in the chat, I would like to know by the end of the show, should I stream Alien Isolation or Until Dawn? You guys, please let me know. And if you guys by the time you guys see this, I will be posting on my own Twitter which one I went with. Hopefully you guys like come in and just let us know what it is, and I'll definitely will talk about it at the end of the show, and we shall see. Because I'm excited to see what I'm going to play, and it's just going to be a quick like my hour stream and everything, so you guys will actually be able to hear me if like I scream or if I get fearful or if I drop the controller and everything. David probably go like if I choose any Isolation, David is probably just going to fall out his seat and laugh. And
I'm looking forward to it.
So But with that, everybody, I had a great weekend. Definitely talking to doing our 1v1 with Steve and Kyle podcast. Hilarious couple of guys. Doing Arsenal X with Jesse. We had a really good discussion and just a really good one. We actually, to give you guys a preview, we actually had a discussion about worrying about games being on the system and how everybody thought well, not everybody, but at some point in time people thought that Switch wouldn't have no games when it first came out, and then you see Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 really not have any games coming out that's until like later on in the year. And it's like, oh, it's such a big reverse that multiple games was dropping for Switch in this first 9 months, and now even though this is have like it's been 3 months for PlayStation and Xbox, we really haven't got a lot from them. Like the Medium was the last game coming out for Xbox, and now there's like nothing that we know of until what next this month or Returnal for April. Is very weird to see that. So it's a good discussion that we had. So you guys will have to definitely check it out. But everybody, we're gonna get into Snack David, what have you been snacking on?
Oh gosh, I wasn't prepared for Snacktendo because we were last minute schedule change here. But I've been eating more Southern food. My wife is from Louisiana, and we both are vegan, so we have all these plant-based recipes that take like classic Southern like Louisiana foods and like make them plant-based. So a lot of red beans and spicy and collard greens. So that's kind of what I've been munching on lately, and it's been good.
Oh, nice.
That's cool.
Uh, David. I mean, not David. Sorry, David. What have you been snacking on?
So I got my fiance a Dutch oven for Christmas, and she is like all about finding cool recipes in it. And we had these like really almost like Mexican style stuffed peppers for dinner tonight, and they were fantastic. I haven't really had much in the candy department, so I'm just gonna show off a little bit about my stuffed peppers and move on.
What about you, Grayson? What have you been snacking on?
So like the past week so for Valentine's Day, which was what, like 2 weeks ago, my partner got me a bag of sour gummy worms, which is like, so I don't eat a lot of candy, but I love like the sour gummy worms, and I don't like eating them a lot because I feel like my teeth are rotting, when I eat them. But he got me this huge bag, and I'm like, oh, now I have to like eat this as fast as I can, because if it's just there, I'm gonna have, it's just, so I just like was obsessed with eating those sour gummy worms for the past like 2 weeks. I finally finished a bag like a couple nights ago. So now there's like no terrible candy in the house. But I've actually the past few months I've actually been not eating meat, which I've done before in the past for a few years, but I went back and forth and I kind of haven't like stuck to it. But now me and my partner are like just been eating a lot of healthy stuff. So like I talked about the air fryer last time I was here, which is still like it's kind of like hasn't gotten as much use as it was when I first got it. But man, like when I need it, like it really comes in handy. Like I've never used my oven anymore. So if anyone has been thinking about getting an air fryer, I totally recommend it still. It's a fantastic piece of technology that should have existed for, before. Like
Right, now I'm online looking at air fryers.
Yeah.
So with air fryers, the thing that like I thought was world changing with that was cooking tofu, because I would not eat tofu before because it's all like the mushy. I just couldn't do it. But if you bake it first and then pop it in the air fryer, it you can get that like real firm texture.
So crispy.
It's just
It's the best. It's just so easy. You don't have to do anything. Like you just pop it in there and you could cook the rest of the meal, and
it's relatively healthy for you too, right?
Yeah, because it uses less oil.
Right.
Or like no oil at all. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it's faster, clean, easy to clean.
Gotcha.
Yes. Well, everybody, for me, I'm just gonna spend time on this new candy bar that came into my store that I bought. It's called Whoozy Was It? And it's a spinoff of whatchamacallit. This is a chocolate with chocolate crisp and peanut butter candy bar. Think of Nutty Buddies from Little Debbie's. It's in candy bar form. And it's really good. It actually tastes like a Nutty Buddy. It's really good. I was working like because they just put it out yesterday at my job, and I was just like walking through the register, and I turned my head and I seen it. I'm like, what is this? I immediately grabbed it and bought it with the quickness so I could report on it. It's really good. It's called Whoozy Was It Spelled, and this is the crazy spelling: WHOZEEWHITZIT.
That's
Whoozy Was
fantastic.
It? Yes, it's
A
it
lot of
is.
these.
Yes, it's in a red kind of container. It's a really nice packaging for it. And you guys could this is by Hershey, so you guys could go on their website if you want to take a look at it. You can probably find it now in stores. They're just pretty much rolling it out. So you guys could really try that. Last but not least, I'm just going to announce this if you guys haven't followed me on Twitter that Pizza Hut has a Detroit style pizza. So this Thursday, I am going to be buying one and tasting it and be ready for a Snack Tendo next week to talk about it. Shout out to Asa Green. He told me about the Detroit pizza. It's been coming like a real known kind of pizza thing, so I'm going to give it a try and see
Fun
what
fact:
it's all
Detroit
about.
style is my favorite style of pizza in America. I love it.
What is it exactly? I don't think I know.
So it's a little bit like how do I explain it? It's almost like an airier crust and bread to it, and the sauce is just a little bit sweeter. It's like it's not that far off from like a New York pizza.
Mhm.
It's almost like a poor man's New York pizza, but I like it so much better.
Yeah, it's now
That sounds
becoming
good.
It's now becoming popular, and because I've never heard of it. I'm like, is this just like literally a Detroit thing? For it, I get, or I should say, Michigan kind of thing. Has it just been that, or is it like really low key? Like, then
I
you
haven't
might.
really seen it outside of Michigan. So
Oh, okay. Well, everybody, that has been Snacktendo. I will report back, and I'll go from there. But Dan, you have our game fact event, so I'm gonna hand over this portion over to you.
cool. And before I get started on Game Fact Advance, I just want to give a couple of quick shout outs. We get a couple of new Discord members, Mr. Jagged Edge, and we have Stephanie K, who's coming in hot with the Snacktendo in our Discord. So, guys, join our Discord. It's a lot of fun. And also a special shout out to Deshaun on Twitter. We had put out a Twitter poll, and he reached out and gave us his feedback from a fan standpoint, and we really appreciate that. So check out our Twitter as well, and thank you guys for being so active in the community. But now for the Game Fact Advance, I found this one very, very interesting. GoldenEye's multiplayer was a last minute addition. Did any of you guys know this?
Wow.
No.
Uh-uh.
Okay,
I
so
played
as
it
good
growing up
as
so much, so this is interesting.
yeah, and this is gonna blow your mind. As good as the single player campaign was in GoldenEye 007, the game is considered an N64 classic almost exclusively due to its addictive split screen multiplayer. It may come as a shock to learn that the game almost shipped without it. In fact, it wasn't for a few rare employees breaking protocol and working on it without Nintendo's blessing, the game would have just included the campaign. Rare employee Steve Ellis and a few of his coworkers created it only a few weeks before the game was due to be shipped, but managed to put it in the game as an experiment. They had no idea how influential it'd actually be, and it's safe to say without the classic multiplayer mode, GoldenEye wouldn't be anywhere nearly as remembered as it is today.
That is crazy.
That is crazy to think that was not going to be part of the game.
It would not have had the same impact for sure.
Yeah.
No, and like if you kind of look back on it, it was like the actual campaign was much more detailed, whereas like the multiplayer was just empty space.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense, right?
What's crazy about that, though, is not only did that result in millions of dollars for Nintendo, but arguably it shaped multiplayer games for the next 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
That's true.
I think the next real impactful multiplayer game was probably what Halo did,
Yeah.
Online. But, aside from that, like GoldenEye really defined what it meant in that era. That's what I wonder what happened to those employees. I wonder what.
That's
Hopefully they got
a
like
good
a raise
idea.
or
I'll look
something.
into this a little bit more.
All right. Thank you, Dan, for that game fact events. Oh, I can't believe that just boggles my mind. Like,
I
literally.
know. That takes you back so much.
Uh, well, everybody, you know what time it is. It's time for Femi News. And like I said, this Femi News is bunkers good. David, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Ed. Well, our first story tonight is from Jaime Ditchfield over at NintendoEnthusiast.com. And the news is that Grezzo is co-developing Miitopia Switch version with Nintendo. So the Nintendo 3DS game Miitopia will be getting a Nintendo Switch port in May. This was announced during last week's Nintendo Direct. Interestingly, it turns out developer Grezzo is involved with Switch's version development, as Nintendo UK's webpage for Miitopia lists Grezzo alongside Nintendo in the credits section. Grezzo is well known for its work on the Legend of Zelda remasters and remakes on the 3DS and Switch, including Ocarina of Time 3D, Majora's Mask 3D, and Link's Awakening. So for our panel's consideration, what are your reactions to the news that Grezzo is working on the Miitopia port? Does this change your interest level in purchasing the game? And with the continued work from Grezzo, what does the future look like for their collaboration with Nintendo? Ed, what do you think? What are your reactions to this story?
I think it's cool. I think definitely with the success of Link's Awakening, I think Grezzo is doing a fantastic job with Nintendo and seeing them like we didn't know that I didn't know anything that Miitopia was when the direct came out. When seeing it on Switch, be like, oh wow, wasn't this a 3DS game? And then hearing Grezzo connected to it, I'm just like, oh, they've been doing this with them. So it's definitely exciting. This doesn't change my interest in the purchase though. Because I can actually say I didn't play Miitopia. This doesn't do anything for me. But it is interesting to see what they add. But the continued work from Grezzo, I probably would get my not Link's Awakening. I think I would get my Link to the Past remake finally for Switch from Grezzo. Because I trust them now with remaking games and making these handheld console experiences of old games. Like if they could do the Oracle of Seasons and Ages, like I would be so here for that. Like if they want to do the Legend of Zelda stuff, go right ahead. But like Nintendo, give Grezzo some work, and I kind of want to see them do a take on Super Metroid if they could remake it. I know Mercury Steam is a good or system is a good option for it, but if Grezzo's going to be doing stuff like this, get them Super Metroid. I want Super Metroid on Switch.
Why? Do you want to see like a chibi style Metroid game?
I would totally play that though.
Oh my god.
Samus is like 2 feet tall.
Yeah, with the giant head. She'll look like the Mii fighter.
I totally would.
I turn around probably just hearing that and just like, no.
Grayson, what about you? Did you have any initial reactions with the Miitopia story when they announced it at the Direct? And then does Grezzo's involvement change anything for you?
Yeah, so like if somebody told me that Miitopia was going to be announced at that Direct, I would not have believed them. That was probably like the most surprising thing to come out of the show. But to learn that Grezzo is the one doing the remake, I think this opens the doors, if anything, for future 3DS titles to come to Switch. I think this could be an experiment to see how well the port does. I'm not personally a fan of Miitopia, like Edward. I didn't play it. It just seems like a kid friendly, like beginner first time RPG kind of thing. But the port looks really cleaned up, and I hope I find some sort of audience on the Switch. But like I said, I just hope Nintendo soon brings over like other 3DS games, like Link Between Worlds, to the Switch, clean it up a little bit. I personally would love like Kid Icarus Uprising to come to the Switch. We can have like dual analog support for that game, which was very needed for that. So it's cool. It's definitely very cool to learn that they're involved and that they're continuing to work with Nintendo on stuff.
Yeah, I'll just say briefly that while I don't have much attachment to Miitopia, I'm pretty excited about Grezzo continuing to get work from Nintendo, and it just seems like a partnership that could produce fruits going forward. And Ed, you already talked about it, so I won't cover it. But man, there are a lot of top-down Zelda games that I would love to see. I want Switch to just become a Zelda destination, and I would love anything Grezzo puts its hands on. Jacob, it looks like included something in chat. Is it AJ? I didn't catch that because it went off my screen. AJ, the artist.
AG the Nerdy Artist, he says Zelda Oracle seasons in ages. So he agrees with us if they were how that would look as a remake. So shout out to
just make it look like Link's Awakening, and I would those are one of the few Zelda games I've never touched, so I would love for those to come.
Fantastic.
I was just going to say, if there's a Nintendo Direct and that happens, I'm going to nag David. Tell your class to take a nap. David, get on Skype. Let us do a 2-minute discussion and literally nerd out. You go back.
I might have to take a day off. Yeah, well, I love it. Was actually just the anniversary, the 20-year anniversary of the Oracle games, and this last week. We were celebrating it over at Zelda Dungeon, and I have a suspicion that we may be seeing those later this year. So we'll have to hold our breath on that. All right, we're going to move on to our next story here. Dan, I had you in mind when I found this one, so I'm looking forward to hearing your take. So this is our sources. The original sources are from Amazon and Below D Gaming, but it's reported at Screen Rant. So Japan, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has sold out on Amazon Japan due to the recent Smash Bros. DLC announcement. Quote, following the announcement of Pyra and Mythra coming to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Xenoblade 2 Chronicles has sold out in Japan. The reception to Pyra and Mythra may have been somewhat divisive, but Super Smash Bros. Is still doing its job of promoting other Nintendo game series well. While Xenoblade Chronicles has moderately successful sales figures, it's still considered as one of Nintendo's more niche series. As of September 2020, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has sold 2.05 million units, while Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition has sold 1.48 million. But considering that the Xenoblade series never broke 1 million in sales prior to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, this is still very impressive. Xenoblade Chronicles only arrived in the West due to the efforts of Operation Rainfall, a fan campaign focused on bringing JRPG games over to the West. The addition of Shulk in Super Smash Bros. 4 also helped it gain more traction, but it wasn't until Xenoblade Chronicles 2 that the series reached its peak in popularity. So, Dan, we'll start with you. Does this success increase the likelihood of a Xenoblade Chronicles 3? And with the surge in sales, what other franchises might Nintendo target with an inclusion in Smash Bros? What do you think, Dan?
Oof, I didn't expect that follow-up question. But man, I'm just like, I'm so happy they did this, and I'm so happy people are paying attention and playing. Xenoblade Chronicles, the franchise, is just one of my favorite franchises. I love the stories. The characters are so well written, even though the proportions are a little strange in it. Xenoblade 2. I'm really excited for Pyra and Mythra. Ed and I were watching the Direct together, and he had to sit there and listen to me yell the whole time. It was we saw Pyra and Mythra on the screen. One really cool thing about all these Smash characters that are coming out in the Fighter Pass 1 and 2 is I feel like that Sakurai has really paid attention to the games that they're in, and the characters' skill sets are so unique to that character, and it feels like you're actually using them. So I'm really excited to see how they're going to do this for Pyra and Mythra in the Sakurai Presents on Friday. Needless to say, I'm super excited. I can't wait. Come on. bring them quicker.
You've had a good run of Smash Bros. Fighters Pass characters, Dan.
Yeah, I never thought I really cared about Smash Brothers fighters, but then when Sephiroth got announced, I was like a little kid again. I couldn't stop talking about it for 3 days. And then this one I was also very excited about, but it's pretty awesome. So there's just something for everybody. Even though people made fun of me when Sephiroth came out, they said it was the boomer character for Smash. So.
That's fair. Ed, are we getting a Xenoblade Chronicles 3, perhaps for a Switch Pro?
Okay.
And that game is definitely in development.
Okay, so we are going to get a Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Right now, Monolith they just announced that they are hiring new talent for their new game. So like that's amazing. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I don't know what it's going to be, but yeah, it's because of a success, just the 2 million of it, and that everybody's been looking for it. Like people have, like, of course, people went and got Xenoblade Chronicles, the definitive edition. Everybody's been looking for the physical one of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And to hear Japan selling out like that, I'm like, wow, this just showcases the power of the Smash as a game and how Nintendo IPs are just like strong in a sense. So definitely with the part 3, of course, this teaches people when Nintendo brings a game out for the first time, buy it. I don't care if you're waiting for a sale or anything. Buy it now, because the thing about it is when you could go back and get it, it becomes the hardest thing to find. And it's always Nintendo IPs that it's like if you don't get it when it comes out, it's going to be hard to find. It literally is. So when a Xenoblade Chronicles 3 drop, which for Switch Pro, after the Switch Pro has been out for a while, then yeah, of course it's going to happen.
Greysun, any reaction to the story, and do you think there are other franchises that Nintendo should target in the Fighters Pass?
Yeah, so I think this is great for Xenoblade Chronicles, obviously, because people are searching for it and it's selling out. Even though it's like a niche franchise for Nintendo, it continues to sell well. Like with each entry, more and more. I feel like it's very likely that they're working on the next entry in the game, in the series. And I also think this could make Xenoblade Chronicles X, which is exclusive to the Wii U, eventually make its way to the Switch, because that's a game that I think a lot of people missed out on just because the Wii U, had low sales and whatnot. And as far as other franchises, I mean, I'm trying to think of like another niche Nintendo franchise that could use some love, and I'm failing to like really come up with a character, because like I was thinking of something like Earthbound, but we don't get Earthbound games anymore, so like it's like, why would they add characters that aren't really, it's not helping them at all. As far as like non-Nintendo characters, I personally I've been waiting for like another Capcom rep, so I would love like a Monster Hunter or like a Resident Evil character. Personally, that would be cool to see.
Yeah, it seems like we might get something from Monster Hunter as we wrap up the Fighters Pass. That's my suspicion, with maybe some co-promotion.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like they've just been so unpredictable, though.
Yeah,
this Fighters Pass, like
I'm still waiting for Data East and Irem. Like I'm waiting for someone from Bad Dudes and from like some of the old '80s games that Sakurai could bring in. Because if he's gonna be working a lot with Japan, you got to go to the arcades.
I want the last fighter to just straight up be Sakurai, so you can fight as him and just kick the shit
like
out
a boss
of
character,
like Master Hand. Just
yeah, just like the ultimate character is Sakurai himself.
That's fantastic. Well, Ed, never say never. We did get Pac-Man, so you might get your '80s arcade wish. We're gonna move on to our next story. So, Tony Hawk enlists Crash Bandicoot help to bring Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 to next-gen consoles and Switch in 2021. This is from BusinessWire.com via Wario64 on Twitter. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 coming to Xbox Series, PS5, Switch this year. PS5 and Xbox Series on March 26th. 120 frames per second at 1080p, native 4K at 60 frames per second, spatial audio, and more. For PS5, Xbox Series, $10 upgrade to next-gen version or free digital deluxe. Grayson, we'll start with you. What are your reactions to this news, and will you be purchasing this?
Unfortunately, I'm not like a big Tony Hawk or skateboarding fan. So no, I will not be purchasing this. But of course, I think it's great that it's coming to the Switch and other platforms. That's always great for titles like this. It'll definitely find an audience because the Switch doesn't really have uh, sim skateboarding games. I don't think it has any. So that's great for the fans out there. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, the bird game with the skateboard.
Skatebird, yeah, that game was
Skatebird.
cool.
Yeah.
Grayson, I share you. This was not a game that I played growing up, but I know that a lot of people lost their minds over this announcement. Dan, did you have any feelings about this? And is this good news for Nintendo to be included in this?
Oh yeah, I dump out my money for nostalgia all the time. I was a skateboarder in middle school, so I played every single Tony Hawk game to the absolute death. So I'm super excited to play this. I hadn't bought it for my PlayStation 4 just because I haven't been playing it that much, and I was really hoping that we would get this. So when I saw this, I got really, really excited about it, especially that Tony Hawk was retweeting it. So yeah, I'm pumped.
Ed, final thoughts on this story?
I thought it was kind of cool that Nintendo and Activision. Now I've been getting on Activision. I know my Crash Bandicoot rent. I know that. But I love the fact that Nintendo and Activision played around with this idea to be like, what are you guys doing? What's going on? And then it happened. Of course, I am going to get the game, and the reason I want to get the game is because I want to hear the soundtrack on the go. Like the skating part, it is what it is. I guess I'll have fun because I never played the original ones on PlayStation and stuff. But I would get the soundtrack. Now I know everybody's gonna be like, "Well, why would you get Tony Hawk and not Crash Bandicoot?" And be complaining with the 1 year thing. All I say is that I just want to hear the soundtrack, and that's it. I never said anything about like.
What about buying the CD?
Switch makes it easy to have portable music like I do Smash. So I'm going to treat it like that in the sense of Smash. I actually fight battles and stuff. But I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I think I love the fact that Nintendo and Activision played around with this. And that makes the reveal fun with it. And I think when companies do stuff like this, it gets people excited to be like, oh yeah, it's coming to Switch, and people would double dip once again for it. So I'm excited for this. It's a great announcement. I think people are going to enjoy this game, and I'm going to love it for the soundtrack.
All right. Well, our final story in the news is one that I'm excited to talk about. It's going to take a little setup here. So the headline for this story is Lawmaker Wants to Ban Violent Video Games like GTA 5 Amid Rise in Carjackings. So this is from Eddie McCutch at GameSpot.com. So just a little bit of background about this, and then we'll get into our discussion. So Representative Marcus C. Evans, a Democrat who represents part of Chicago and its surrounding suburbs, has put forth a new bill that seeks to ban the sale or rental of violent video games completely. This bill, House Bill 3531, seeks to amend the violent video games law in the state of Illinois' criminal code of 2012 to make it much more extreme. The code currently states that video games cannot be sold or rented to minors, but the new bill seeks to ban the sale of violent video games to everyone. Additionally, the bill seeks to change the definition of violent video game to the following: a violent video game that allows a user or player to control a character within the video game that is encouraged to perpetuate human-on-human violence in which the player kills or otherwise causes serious physical or psychological harm to another human or animal. Which covers most
every video game.
Evans told the Chicago Sun-Times that he is introducing the bill in response to the rise in carjackings in Chicago. The bill would prohibit the sale of some of these games that promote the activities we're suffering from in our communities, he said. A campaign called Operation Safe Pump, spearheaded by philanthropist Early Walker, was formed in an attempt to prevent carjackings by sending in security personnel to places where they might occur. Walker said that he reached out to lawmakers in Chicago after noticing similarities between carjackings in video games and what's happening in the real world. Quote, when you compare the two, you see harsh similarities as it relates to these carjackings, Walker told The Times. Chicago had 218 carjackings in January alone. The Entertainment Software Association has since responded, pointing out that there is no established link between violent video games and real violence. So, panel, some thoughts for us to discuss here. And Ed, we will give you first take. What are your reactions to this story? Researchers have repeatedly found no causal relationship between video games and violence. So, in spite of the absence of data, do you think there is a connection here? Have video game companies done enough to protect themselves from these kinds of attacks? What are your thoughts on this story to get us started, Ed?
Okay, so for this story, there's not people bringing a controller to put on the car to carjack it. Because how do you do a carjacking with? You have to be taught on how to do that. I'm not gonna walk to somebody's car, put a PlayStation controller on the car, and then just open up the door. It doesn't work that way. There is no connection of you pressing the X button to carjack somebody. There's literally no way. Grand Theft Auto 5 and other M-rated games have been out for years, and there have been different things. Should we talk about should we ban the police because of their killing? Because they played Grand Theft Auto 4 not San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto, the one with Samuel L. Jackson, that one when it was on the West Coast, where the police were killing people. Should we now ban the police because that's human to human thing? Video games is made out of data. Created data. There are not actual humans in the game. So where's the correlation? Where's the connection? What he's saying is he's trying to use video games as a scapegoat because he hasn't figured out why this has actually happened. People are stealing cars. We're in a pandemic. Why do you think they're doing it for? Theft happens in different things, and people don't have to play video games for theft. They could get that stuff from their parents as kids. They could be in different environments and stuff. You could be in a rich neighborhood and there could be theft. We have had politicians who have done things with the jail for that has stole stuff. What video game did they play? There was no connection made to there. So this is really bogus. This is crazy. Video games are protected under the First Amendment, and if he was paying attention, that's what the Supreme Court said that video games was under the First Amendment of the Constitution. He would understand that this bill is just going to fail. It wouldn't make no sense or anything. Like you're a grown person and you didn't do no research. You seen something, made an assumption, and then just went off. In fact, I don't even think he played Grand Theft Auto 5.
I have a suspicion you're right about that, Ed. I will say that the reasoning presented by the head of the Operation Safe Pump is just bizarrely thin to me. That, we were out observing carjackings and noticed that it was similar to video games, and therefore there's a causal relationship there. It's painful. Dan, I know that you head our banned podcast here at Boss Rush Games examining these kinds of issues with censorship. Why do you think this stuff keeps coming up, and where are people getting this idea?
They just need somebody to blame. That's all it really comes down to. Pretty much everything Ed said was spot on, but that's somebody who's actually paying attention. People who aren't paying attention, they're just trying to blame someone. And, I think 10, 15, 20 years ago, video games were the easy scapegoat. It's not so much anymore. People like us, we've grown up with video games, and we're not going to take that seriously anymore. So I think this story is just going to be gone sooner than we think. I have not gone out in the wild and stolen a horse from playing Breath of the Wild, so I'm not going to go carjack somebody's car from this. It's honestly just smoke and mirrors. They need somebody to blame, and they're trying to appease a crowd because they have to have an answer for carjackings, and when they can't come up with something, come up with GTA.
Greysun, as somebody who's in the gaming community and writes and podcasts, what are your reactions to this story?
Yeah, I think like what Edward was saying. I feel like they're just trying to find an excuse for this. Like I used to live in Chicago for a few years too, and like the crime has always been an issue there, and obviously the rise in carjackings is probably due to COVID-19 and people being unemployed and having nothing else to do. It's not because of video games. I feel like these sort of stories come out of the woodwork every so often, and it just like I don't know. I don't think people are ever going to learn that there's no link between like there's evidence that that proves that video games are not linked to violence, and also the way they describe the bill that they're seeking to change. It's like that describes literally every single video game that we all play. It's you're controlling a character that's causing harm to something. That's video games are mostly about that. You're killing things, you're getting points, experience, and it's not violent. It doesn't make me a violent person because I'm fighting monsters in Persona 5 Strikers. It doesn't make any sense. And according to this description, they would be banning games like that, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. It just seems like a cop out, just trying to find an excuse instead of finding the real reason why carjackings are rising in Chicago. There's other reasons, and it's not video games.
Two things to this. One, even if this bill passed and there are still high markets of carjacking, what is he going to say? Because the thing about it is, he banned M-rated games, and it's still happening. So he's going to be on front. He's going to have to answer it. He cannot punk out anywhere. You made the correlation. You said that this was the reason that is happening, and carjackings are still high in numbers. We have removed M-rated games, so what now? And he's going to fumble over his words. Two, if he really wants to talk about video games and people playing carjacking, go look at the story about Yin Lee. When Yin Lee, a California politician, was trying to ban M-rated games and got caught up in the Asian scheme of gun trafficking. And he's in jail. And he's been trying to ban M-rated games in GTA for years. And he did the most GTA stuff as a politician.
That's an age-old story with politicians.
Amazing.
We could look at a lot of topics and see them caught doing the very thing they're trying to ban, right?
Right. So it's just like, you want this stuff. If it happens and you have to answer for it, you cannot turn around and be like, well, I didn't know. And what you mean you didn't know? You just said something. You gave us the reason. You didn't have to. You didn't show no evidence. You said something, and now everything befalls on you. And now that you in the limelight, that you got the answer stuff, and you can't answer it. Now you looking foolish.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ed, I'll close out this segment just by saying that, I look forward to the day when this tired old trope stops getting dragged up every, news cycle that they need to blame somebody for a problem instead of enacting real reforms. But, a couple of things that just occur to me about this is it's incredible how much lack of science and data support there is to these positions, right? Like the APA, the American Psychological Association, did, I think, an 8-year longitudinal study about this and found absolutely no connection whatsoever between video games and violence. The one thing that the study found it can lead to an increase in is yelling. Which anybody that's played multiplayer video games, that's probably not a huge surprise to that study.
Like GoldenEye.
Yeah, like GoldenEye. And the last thing I hope that people would stop and think about, if you really think that video games cause violence based on stuff that happens in the United States, like I would just remind you that video games are a global thing. Right? Like where are these crime sprees in Japan or Canada or so many other places where these games are played? And just maybe it has something to do with economic and material conditions instead. So, well, thank you, panel. That is the end of our Family News segment. So back to you, Ed.
Yes, everybody. Thank you, David, for that Family News segment. We're going to get into doc mode, because everybody, we celebrated 25 years of Pokemon, and with that, we got a great direct and a concert from Post Malone, I think. For this doc mode, we're going to remember our personal history with the series, talk about the direct, and discuss the future of Pokemon, and should they offer another starter, giving you 4 starters instead of 3. So, let's get into just a quick history of where if any of us played Pokemon, where we started, or where did you become aware for it. Grayson, as our special guest, I'm gonna start with you as you have on your beautiful shirt representing Pokemon. Where did you start with the series?
Yeah, I mean, I've been there since the beginning. I played Pokemon Red on my Game Boy, and then after that, I played every single gen up until Sword and Shield recently. I played a lot of the spin-offs as well, so I'm a big Pokemon fan. But I have recently, the past few years, have slowly started to kind of taper off the mainline series, where like I'll play the main campaign, but I won't do any of the post-game stuff. I won't get involved with like competitive battling or trading or all that extra stuff that the fans really like. Um, I just don't feel like the series has been evolving that much lately. And I see it for sure. I see it's not evolving, and it just kind of makes me back off of a little bit. But I with the announcements that we'll talk about, in a little bit, I think they're slowly starting to kind of acknowledge that themselves, and I think they're trying to cater to people like me who have been fans for 25 years, and give us something different and unique, which they don't do so often. So, yeah. That's
All right. David, have you played anything Pokemon or watched a cartoon or anything? Where was your start with Pokemon?
So it hasn't been my mainline Nintendo series that I've been a fan of, but I have played some games. So my first interaction with Pokemon, actually, very on point for our show tonight, was through Smash Brothers. So Smash Brothers got me interested, playing Pikachu as a character for a while on Smash Brothers, got me kind of introduced to it. And of course, the Pokeball being my favorite item on that game. Since then, I did buy Shield, so that's one that I played. Didn't get all the way through it on Switch. The story just wasn't mature enough, I think, for me to grab my attention. And growing up, my daughter's growing up, and she's 9 now. She's really into Pokemon. So as a parent, I would say, of a Nintendo kid, that's where I've had my most connections to it, and I do love the franchise for that. She's obsessed with Pokemon Go, and it's one of the main ways I can get her out to go on a walk with me during the day. And she also watched the XY cartoon. We watched that together. So those are my connections to Pokemon. And just really quickly, something Grayson said, and I know we'll get into it more, but about Pokemon needing to evolve. I think as a Zelda fanatic, I had similar feelings about The Legend of Zelda, and I was really excited to see that they finally broke out of some formulas with Breath of the Wild, and my hope is that Pokemon fans get that same experience here.
All right. Dan, any history with Pokemon?
So I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan. I played when Pokemon Red and Blue came out, I had got that and I played that to death. And I had, I grew up in a neighborhood with a lot of kids my age, and a lot of them had Pokemon Blue, and I was really the only one with Red, so we did a lot of trading. And I made the mistake of letting the girl I had a crush on play my Pokemon game, and she erased my file of like it was like 149. I was 2 away from collecting them all through all the trading and everything, and I think it broke me. I think it broke me. I never played another Pokemon game up until Sword and Shield, which I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really like that much. I played the whole campaign. It was just a little too easy for me. I had the Pokemon cards. I can't remember if that was around the same time as Red and Blue or a little after. And I also watched the anime, the after school anime too. So I do have a little bit of Pokemon experience, but it's like back in the 25 years ago range.
All right. For me, I definitely started with Pokemon Blue, getting into it, seeing the fat Pikachu before they redefined him. Of course, every most of the main games that came out, like Gold, Diamond, and just all of those games, Black and White 1 and 2 and stuff. Like I've always picked up the series and just like fell in love. I put on my Twitter that I'm grass type for life. Like my heart always grass type. So and I know a lot of people love water and a lot of people who are actually fire. And I kind of boo the fire because they're strong against me. But um
Always water type for me.
yes. Uh, but I've always been a grass type. And watching the anime, watching the when the first Pokemon movie came out, just like people went crazy for it, and and the Pokemon movies are still good and everything, and it's still like kind of popular, um, for pop culture and everything here in America, UK, and Japan, and other places and stuff. Like when you hear Pikachu, you automatically think of Pokemon. Like it's on the level of Mario, I being as an icon and stuff. So yeah,
And
but
can I just jump in really quickly to
yes,
that? I would even say that a film like Detective Pikachu is probably the best video game film that's been made.
Hmm.
yes, it's
Oh yeah.
so good. Um, so uh, yes, Dan, do you got any shout outs? Real quick.
Yeah, just looking at the chat, a couple of people are talking about what they like. Espeon is Rebeldes. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Rebelde has Espeon as their favorite. Seems like the only one they haven't played is Diamond and Pearl remake, so they're talking about how excited they are for that. And Jacob's talking about his favorite Pokemon of all time is Raichu,
Yes.
the
Ooh.
evolved version of Pikachu, which I didn't know anybody liked Raichu that much.
Yeah. I love Raichu because of his tail. It's just like that the long design of his tail is so cool. I love that. Yes. Kind of the Pokemon Direct. So we know, seeing got to know more about Pokemon's new Pokemon Snap coming out. But we have got a remake of Diamond and Pearl coming out. And we also got Pokemon Legends, Arceus. I think I may be pronouncing it wrong. Give me 1 second, everybody.
I think the Arceus, maybe. I think
Arceus. Yes.
Arceus, yeah, right.
Arceus.
Arceus. Sorry about that, everybody. Sona's confirmed for Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl officially for Switch, and then Pokemon Legends
Arceus, yep.
Arceus is an open world prequel to Diamond and Pearl. When you guys see this in the direct, what were your initial thoughts? I'm gonna go with you, David. What were your thoughts seeing Diamond and Pearl and Pokemon Legends?
Well, I'm really excited for this because I felt bad that I haven't given as much love to Pokemon in terms of like I'm a diehard Nintendo fan, so like it's a franchise that's been on my list for a while to get back into, and I'm totally excited to buy Pearl or Diamond, and also and I know that other people may want to get into this more, so I'll keep it brief. But I'm really excited for Arceus because the idea of an open world game like that, I mean, there was all kinds of shades of Breath of the Wild and Link's Awakening for those two. And it was hard not to think about these games that I love so much, and seeing Pokemon through those eyes was like, okay, this is my chance to get back into it. So I'm really excited.
What about you, Dan?
David kind of summed up everything I was just going to say. It's cool to see the series evolve after it's done the same exact thing for 8 generations. Like going out and collecting and battling, it just seems like an open world game. Like I'm surprised they haven't done it yet. So I think it's so cool that they're doing that now. And as far as Diamond and Pearl goes, I actually liked the art style. It caught a lot of flack online, but I thought it was really cool. Like if you do the side by side of the original game versus the art style of the new game, I was like, this is really fitting. And I'm probably going to give both games a chance, even though I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan. But Diamond and Pearl did catch my eye. I did want to try a game in the middle generations that I missed out on. So that was cool. And then, yeah, I mean, open world Pokemon. eh, Every Nintendo game that's open world is amazing. How can you say no, right?
Yes. Grayson, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so for the Pokemon Diamond remakes, I was caught off guard a little bit with that art style because I was actually expecting it to be at least in the art style of Pokemon Sword and Shield. I thought they were gonna do a full blown like 3D remake, but after like taking a few days and thinking about it, I actually do like the art style a little bit. It's not really what I wanted, but it seems just like a faithful recreation of that game, similar to what Link's Awakening did. It's like the fans who love that game are gonna, love it again. And Diamond and Pearl is probably like my third favorite generation, I would say, after Gold and Silver, Black and White. Yeah, it comes Diamond and Pearl, is like my third. They just added a lot of new features because that was the first generation for the DS system. So they added like Wi-Fi battling for the first time, and like
Yeah.
Pokemon contests were upgraded, like a bunch of cool new touchscreen features and stuff. So it's a great generation for people, and I'm excited for folks to get a chance to play that. And as for Pokemon Legends, like I am extremely excited for the idea of what Game Freak is trying to do with the Pokemon series, but what they showed didn't really excite me, if that makes sense, because it looked kind of rough around the edges. I know it's like semi early in development. It's supposed to come out next year, but there was like some frame rate issues here and there. But I'm excited for what they're trying to do. They're really trying to change the formula up. And like while it's not like a mainline title, it's not like a new generation. It's cool. It's interesting what they're doing with the story. Like it's a prequel. You're putting together the Sinnoh Pokedex for the first time. So it's just like I feel like it's just really focused on exploration and finding Pokemon, and you can catch Pokemon without going to battle now, which is cool. They have dodge rolls, which I don't know what's going to be used for, but that seems like there's going to be some action-oriented stuff in there. Hopefully, it's not just like for fun. But I'm really excited. I did not expect to see that at the presentation at all. Like people have been wanting an open world Pokemon game for years now. That's like you see that under comments for everything like the Pokemon company puts out. That's what people really want, and I hope this is something really special. And I hope it's just like not like a one-off thing that they're doing. I think how this game does is gonna really it's gonna show what the Pokemon series is gonna become. Hopefully, like this is like a test. I think for what they want to do with the mainline game. So we'll see. We'll see how it shapes out. I think it's a great idea, and they're shaking things up a little bit. So I think it's great.
Yeah, me and Jacob, we did a reaction to it. Like we were talking like our thoughts and stuff, and I'm definitely excited. Definitely looking forward to Pokemon Legends. We know it's going to be next year, so it's a good way to lead 22, knowing that that's that first party game that's coming. I love the Japanese feel to it and seeing it. I told Jacob that I hope we could dress up our Pokemon and stuff because I would like to put like my grass type in like a samurai outfit or a ninja outfit and stuff. Or I use Machop for Machop for example. Like you just see him in like this like he got his muscles all evolved and he's just got this cool Asian kind of like cape and stuff and it's just flowing in the air. He's just ready to like destroy.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm just like I cannot wait for this game. Pokemon Diamond, I'm excited for this. Trust me, I'm very excited for this. Diamond and Pearl became one of the hardest Pokemon games to find. Diamond sold out while when you went to Best Buy and Target, it was hard to find because everybody loved Diamond. You could get Pearl with ease, but Diamond, it was if you didn't go the day that Diamond came out or catch a restock, you were not getting that version of the game. So to see everybody be able to play Diamond and Pearl again, it's going to be just amazing. I really enjoyed the story. I had the USB core thing from Nintendo to do your online. It's your Wi-Fi. I had that plugged in, and yeah, it worked some days. It didn't work other times, but that was Nintendo back in the early 2000s. So we're gonna get into the last part to ask you guys: do you think they should do a fourth starter? And what element would you like that fourth starter to be? Grayson, I'm gonna start with you. What should they do a fourth one? And if they should, what element should it be?
Do you mean like starters in like the in Diamond and Pearl, or just like in future games
In
in
future
general?
games, in future Pokemon games?
I love electric type Pokemon, so that'd be cool if they like start introducing other types besides fire, water, and grass for every. It gets kind of boring after a while. So electric Pokemon would be cool. I also like it when they introduce Pokemon that aren't starter Pokemon as like a starter Pokemon, like an Eevee, like in Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, like having a Pokemon that's not normally seen as a starter, like as your buddy. You can walk around with them and stuff. I think having four starters would be cool. I mean, I don't see why not. Just gives people more options for the type of advantages they want and stuff.
Okay. What about you, Dan?
I would like to see just kind of a random mix, not so much like things thrown together. Like, it would be cool to get a dragon starter at the beginning. Or like even just revamp the whole thing and you get like, fighting a psychic or a dragon all together. You get to pick between those three. But to be honest, I think the fire, water, grass is pretty true to their brand. So I don't think they're ever going to change that. Maybe like Grayson said, throw in an electric one.
Okay. What about you, David? Getting into the series, probably kind of like for the first time, if you get Diamond and Pearl, for future Pokemons, what would you like to see? Like, would another starter, and what element would you like to see?
I was just thinking about what my daughter likes, and she would love to be able to start with a fairy type.
Ooh.
That would like
a Jigglypuff or something.
Her world. Yeah. So I think that's the one I would pick. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm going to change the question just a little bit.
Go ahead. That's fine.
Add to it. But I was just thinking about what an exciting opportunity all this is for Nintendo. And I was just wondering, I bet Nintendo really wished that they could have had some of these in their Nintendo Direct rather than having to wait for the Pokemon presentation. Because, man, I wonder what I was thinking about your and Jacob's reaction, and I was just wondering if that would have been a part of the Nintendo Direct, if people would have felt differently. They'd probably still not be happy, but
I think people would have lost. I think if they would have did Pokemon Legend in this, they would have lost their mind. For this, because they'd be like, well, some people might complain, be like, this is not the Breath of the Wild that I want. No, we don't need that. We don't need that negative energy.
Like, we don't have Breath of the Wild 2, but we have something to show you.
Breath of the Pokemon. And I'm sorry, I changed the question, but what about you? What kind of type would you like to see added?
I actually would like to have, okay, so I would love a fighting type to be a starter for it, but I think if I actually had to add something, I think I actually would want a wind type. I don't think we have any like straight wind Pokemon in it. We have Pokemon that use wind moves, but I would love to see like a wind type Pokemon, Balloonatope or something like that, and he just like his hot air, can melt ice or whatever. Like, give me a wind type kind of Pokemon. I would love to have, or something, or even a toy type. Like I think that would be cool. That you get a toy type that could be like, okay, the toy type is like it's like a mechanical thing. So maybe like the robots from Xenoblade Chronicles, or a mech type, I should say. But like a little toy type. I'm thinking of Gundam. That's what I'm trying to say. Give me a Gundam kind of type.
That'd be cool.
Toy type, right, or something like that.
Like a stuffed animal.
Yes, I would love to have that in Pokemon. So, the last thing we're going to touch on is this Post Malone concert. Okay, everybody. If you've seen it, what are your thoughts? Me and Grayson kind of was talking about it earlier in our pre-show, but if you guys seen it, what are your thoughts about it? Did you think that it was cool that they had a little concert, a mini concert, or this idea of seeing Post Malone as an artist working with this thing? So
I watched it. Yeah.
Okay.
it was what we were talking about earlier. It was just weird. Like I didn't really know what to expect from that, but so it was like a 50. Just for people who didn't see it, it was like a 15-minute concert where Post Malone he performed like 3 or 4 songs, but it's like a digitalized version of him in like the Pokemon world. And he's standing on like this floating rock, and he's just traveling through like different Pokemon locations. He's going through like a grass area with grass Pokemon, like a volcano with Charizard and stuff. And it was kind of cool just like seeing these environments, because it's probably the most gorgeous I've ever seen. It was just so pretty seeing Pokemon in this style. Like I was watching this, like wow, they must have put a lot of work into this, because this is like very detailed. Like I remember seeing like Umbreon and stuff. People were tweeting about it, like Umbreon having their moment, like all these other Pokemon that were shown. It was cool. I just wish it was like a little bit longer, because they were hyping this up for so long, this this concert, and for it to only be like 13, 14 minutes long. I was like, oh, that's it. You're just kind of like, this is kind of like supposed to set up the music program that they're doing, which I told you earlier, was 14 songs by like 11 different artists, and they're putting it into one album that they're putting out. So that's such a cool idea. But I just wish this concert had like another artist that was part of it, or just something more than just what it was. It was weird. It was fun. It was kind of like relaxing to watch. I don't know.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, kind of. And I'm not even like a big Post Malone fan, so I didn't really know any of the songs.
Well, I saw a headline. It was like Post Malone covers Hootie and the Blowfish "Want to Be with You" for a Pokemon concert. I was like,
yeah,
that's like a random sentence generator that just came up with that. Like, how the hell did I see those 3 things in a sentence?
I heard the song because the video wasn't out for it, but I heard the song, and it's so auto-tuned and it's so mumble. Want to be with you. I'm like, wait, what did you just say? I was aghast when I seen it. Dan, I quickly want to ask you, even though I know you didn't see the concert, what artist would you like to see with Pokemon? Like,
oh God,
Throw hardballs at Dan.
I don't know. Like,
what? Okay, so Calvin Harris doing a Pokemon house mix. What would you think that would sound?
Okay, you know what? Now that you bring that up, the gym battle music in Sword and Shield was like really good.
Yeah,
like that was like it would get me like hyped, and it's probably the reason I finished the game. But like they went hard on that, so maybe that would work. I don't know. I just don't see anything like anybody fitting with Pokemon. But yeah, if Calvin Harris did a Pokemon thing, I would be there. I would watch that because I like Calvin Harris.
What about you, David? Favorite artist doing the song with Pokemon? Like, who would you choose?
Well, okay, so I won't say something specific, but I would say that I think it would be great for Nintendo if they could get some kind of K-pop Pokemon collaboration.
Yes.
And I would just say, like, I think this is something that Nintendo does well, is finding ways to be unique in their advertising and their promotion and their stuff. And I do think it speaks to their, I don't know what the cultural cachet that they kind of have. That Nintendo is a company that just has this love. And I heard from so many people that watched Post Malone, they're like, I guess I liked it. Like I wasn't prepared to like it, and I liked it. So I think Nintendo did great.
It's funny that you mentioned K-pop, because I kind of would have picked Utada to do a song for Pokemon. The whole internet would lose their mind with Utada. It's definitely one of my favorite bands, L Arc NCL, who did the music for Full Metal Alchemist, the theme music. Like they're just, I would love to see them work with them. Like Japanese or Korean artists work with Pokemon. I don't know how we in America would react, but I think we probably would have been playing that thing all weekend long, going into the weekend stuff.
It would break the internet for sure.
Are you tired of Pokemon combo?
God, that'd be crazy.
Oh yeah, that would like think of Kingdom Hearts, the first one, not my sanctuary.
Simple and clean.
Simple and clean, like stones like that with Utada and Pokemon. I feel like someone already has done that on YouTube, and I need to search that. Like they have Simple and Clean, that house mix, but then it's Pokemon, but Post Malone gets like muted or something.
So much going on.
So, with that, everybody, yeah, that was our thoughts on Pokemon. We're gonna get into our final section, playing with power. David, what have you been playing with power?
Well, I am almost done with my second quest on the original Legend of Zelda. I've been playing that on the Switch's NES Online, and it is hard as nails. Like,
Are you using a guide or just like going completely?
I had to use a guide once because I couldn't find one of the dungeons, and the old me would have stuck it out. But being a parent with multiple jobs, I was like, "There's no way that I can devote the time to finding this damn dungeon." So, like, But I'm appreciating that. The anniversary and everything. It's been good to go back and connect with that a little bit. I've been playing a ton of Animal Crossing. In fact, tonight when I'm done here, I'm going to go do the Mario purchases at my shop there. I'm really excited about that.
Yes.
Oh, that went live today?
Yeah, they went live. It's March 1st. Although I don't know who it was that was saying it. Maybe it's you, Dan, that they missed a golden advertising opportunity by not launching it March 10th as Mario Day. That would have been the whole sense.
Yep. How do you miss that?
So, of course, I've been doing Colonial Marines for Xbox 360 with my son. And then I'm also finishing up. I'm on the final boss for Spirit Tracks on my 3DS. So,
yes. Dan, what are you playing with power?
I haven't really been playing. I haven't gamed much in the last 2 weeks. I've been a little crazy, but this weekend I've had nothing to do but game. So I played Bravely Default 2 all weekend, and I am so excited to talk about this because nobody's talking about it with me.
Yeah, I'm getting my copy Thursday.
Oh, I can't wait till you get it. It's like the most cliche JRPG you could ever find, and I am eating it up. I am loving every second of it. To the job classes, to the story with crystals, like every single component of a JRPG is packed into this one little cliche game, and it's awesome. I'm having fun grinding and figuring out like the different jobs and builds I'm going to do with each character. The story is really cool. I don't particularly like chibi art style, but it's working with the game, and actually like the landscapes and the effects, they're really nice. Everything about the monsters and the battles are really good. So if you like JRPGs, I cannot recommend this enough to anybody who likes them. And if you're craving like a Final Fantasy 4 through 9 type of game, this is where you need to go, because the people who are expecting Final Fantasy to still be the old Final Fantasies, you need to come to Bravely Default, because this is the game for you.
Yes. Grayson, what have you been playing with power?
So the past week or two, I've pretty much been focused on playing Persona 5 Strikers. I actually I got Yakuza Like a Dragon pretty much a day or two before I got Persona 5 Strikers, and I played an hour of 2 Yakuza Like a Dragon. It's actually I played Yakuza games before, but I've never really played too much with them. But this game, so far, I like it a lot. The story is really crazy. I like the change to turn-based RPG. It's really interesting. Didn't put too much time in that, though, because I got Persona 5, and now I'm 15 hours into that game, and I am absolutely loving it. I'm a big fan of Persona 5, and I was kind of scared about this game being too much of a Muso game, because I'm not really a fan of Muso games. I played through Hyrule Warriors just because, I feel like I had to, and I didn't like my time with it.
Hold on. You play Age of Calamity, right?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
No.
We've had some...
Okay.
Finally, someone with some sense here. Grayson can come back anytime.
But yeah, so Persona 5 Strikers, it was kind of advertised as a Muso game, but it's not that at all. It's more of just a straight up action JRPG, similar to Kingdom Hearts or something, where you're fighting enemies in a map, and you're kind of running around and attacking them, doing combos. You can switch characters on the fly, and it just takes everything good about Persona 5 and just translates it over to an action RPG, and it's just so much fun. The music remixes in there are so fire. They are so good. One of my biggest gripes with the game is that most combat encounters while you're exploring you're exploring jails this time instead of dungeons, but it's pretty much the same exact thing. The battles are a few seconds long, and I never get a chance to hear like the battle music unless you're like in a boss fight or something. But it's so much fun. Like the story is not as gripping as the first game or compelling, I think, because they kind of try to do the same thing over again. We're like, oh, this person's bad. Let's try to fix their heart, and then you're doing that over and over again, going to their dungeon, beating them, going to the next one. But it just feels good to kind of like be reunited with these characters because I haven't played Persona 5 since the year it came out, pretty much. So it's cool seeing them again and having them interact, and it's just a lot of fun. And if anyone was maybe turned off of Persona 5 because of the whole romance stuff and like that game being like 100 hours long, this game kind of just like scraps all that and just makes it a straight up like action game, where you're not focusing on romances or like getting confidants and like bonding with your characters. You're straight up just like fighting, story stuff, fighting. So it's really cool and like a great game to kind of just chill out with. I did not think.
Is it a game you have to like play the previous Personas to really get?
Yeah, so Persona 5, because so the Persona series is kind of like Final Fantasy, where each entry has a totally different storyline and characters. But Persona 5 Strikers is a direct sequel to Persona 5. It takes place a few months afterwards. That the group decides to go on a summer vacation, but of course that gets ruined because like some bad guy pops up. But yeah, you would to fully enjoy these characters and what they've been through, you would have to play like the first game.
That's too bad because I wish Persona 5 was on Switch.
Yeah.
I hear so many people talking about Persona all the time, and I own a PlayStation, but I just don't play it enough to like sit through a 100-hour RPG on the PlayStation. So I really, really wish that they would actually bring a mainline Persona, especially Persona 5, to the Switch instead of Strikers. So to me, that I had a little bit of a grudge against Strikers just because I wanted to play a mainline game.
When Joker was revealed at the Game Awards, everybody thought Persona 5 was dropping.
And why wouldn't it?
Don't know. Everybody's been wanting it. Everybody was just like, we would double dip on this game if they bought it to Switch.
I think PlayStation had some sort of exclusivity deal that nobody really knew about. Like it wasn't like announced or anything, but I think that's why they've been keeping it so close to like PlayStation. I don't know why. And then learning that Strikers was coming to Switch was like, well, why are you gonna do that? Because who's gonna really want to play that? Because if Persona 5 isn't on Switch, it's not gonna really appeal to many people. I do think it's a game that does. Like I'm playing on PlayStation, but I think it is a good Switch game because it is like a lot of dialogue at points. So it's like a good like book. A game just kind of like chill out, like a good book. Just lay in bed and kind of just play. Like I kind of wish I bought it on Switch instead, just because of that reason. Because sometimes I don't really feel like turning on my PS5 and like sitting back and kind of like, okay, now I'm kind of bored and I want to play something else. But yeah, it's like I wouldn't recommend it unless you play the original game. And unfortunately, there's no like easy way to get through that game. It's just it took me like 3 years to actually finish it.
I was going to ask you, do you play the original Persona 5 or the
Well, yeah, I didn't play Royal at all.
Royal? Yeah.
That game is longer, so
yeah, I own both of them, and I got to start Royal, but I might go back to Persona 5 and finish it because I need to get Strikers. But at a later date.
How far did you get in the original game?
I think I'm like on the third dungeon. Third dungeon. I am
because I've heard that Royal is really good and somehow it cuts some fat of the game, but also adds more. So, but I just know that I feel like you should probably start Royal if you're planning on if you have it already. If you're not like super far into Persona 5, because I've heard like there's some crazy stuff that happens towards the back half of the game. But it's crazy because most of that game is the same. It's just like a couple some added stuff at the end of the game, I think.
Okay. Well, everybody, for me, I've been playing Grey on Switch. I'm getting ready to do a project with that game. It's so good. I cannot express this enough that the art style is just flawlessly beautiful. Like it's gonna stand the test of time. It still looks great. I wish it went. I wish it won so many awards. Namada Studio. I always said this. This is what Santa Monica for the God of War games should take this art style and make a 2D game out of God of War with this art style because it is flawlessly beautiful. With it, I will talk to you, David, about it. I think you're gonna like with the project that I got for it, and stuff. But I started Kunai for a little bit. I think I'm gonna go back to Ukulele, the first game, because I need to finish it up with it. And still Nino Kuni and Super Mario 3D World, just having a ball in those games. So that's all what I'm playing with Power, everybody. That is our show. Um, we are close to the end. Hopefully one of the choices of Alien Isolation and Until Dawn gets chosen. I will put the poll up and see what people say. But we're gonna get to the end of the show. Last but not least, my good friend Nintendo Gurus, he passed away over the weekend last Friday, and I didn't get the. I knew that he was recovering, but this unexpected death hit a lot of us in the community. It really, like over the weekend, a lot of people were getting off of Twitter because they were just dealing with the emotions. He was inspirer. He did a lot of podcasts with Nintendo, like Animal Crossing, his own Nintendo podcast and stuff. I just wanted to send my condolences to the family, everyone here at Bossfish Games. I know a lot of people didn't know him well, but I interacted with him on social media and talked to him. He was very inspirational and encouraging. He had a big heart for Nintendo and just gaming in general and for people and everything. So to see him go was a big hurt to a lot of people and to the gaming podcast community. So to Bobby Paws, we will miss you. Rest in peace. You guys can go on YouTube and check out his content at Nintendo Guru, and just enjoy what he recorded and get to know him as a person and everything, because he was a major influencer for a lot of people, and he would dearly, dearly be missed. With that, everybody, we're gonna do some plugs. Grayson, where can we find you?
Yeah, sure. So you can find me at Game Rant.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. You can find me my work over at Game Rant. I do guides there, and then you can find me on Twitter at Greysun Morales. You can pretty much find me anywhere under Greysun Morales. I don't have like a fancy gaming name or anything like that. And then I also have a podcast called the Positive Players Podcast, in which I have a whole bunch of cool guests on that show. I started during COVID, and kind of got to talk to people about how they're dealing with COVID and games they've been playing and how they got started in the industry and stuff like that. So it's a really cool show, and you can find that on like all the podcast services. So yeah, that's me.
Okay. David, go ahead and plug because you got some extra announcements and I forgot to put it in the notes. But go ahead, David.
You're all good, Ed. So yeah, you can find me at David Lasby on Twitter. That's also a good place to go if you want to find out more about what I'm going to talk about, which is that Boss Rush Games, our parent network for Nintendo Pow Block, is expanding, and we're going to be offering a lot more writing and interaction as a community. And we are looking for writers and social media managers to join our team. So if you are interested, please reach out to us. You can send me a direct message on Twitter if you like, at David Lasby. You can also email us. And the email address, if you're interested in being a writer or social media manager for us, is opportunities@brg@gmail.com. So one more time, that's opportunities@brg, Boss Rush Games, @gmail.com.
All right. Dan, where can we find you?
DCDM99 on Twitter.
This shirt. You guys can find me on Twitter at ThatRetroCode, where I also have my information for Switch, Xbox, and my PlayStation things that you guys can find. You can check out Optional Opinion on SoundCloud. Check out We Talk, Band, Recap, Arsenal X, Crossroads, and more at bossfishgames.com. We truly love making content for everybody. It's always a fun, it's always a blast with it. You guys can email the show at Nintendo Pow Block at gmail.com, or you can email us at bossfishgamespro at gmail.com. We're going to be working on the emails. We're going to change it and make it similar for you guys. Like I said, also join us on our Discord at Bossfish Games. And everybody, do get ready because this month we have two exciting things happening. Well, actually, three exciting things. We actually have a Smash tournament that is happening. You guys could go to Bossfish Games to find out more. Shout out to Jacob, who also produced the show for this episode. You guys, there is a sign up, so go to our at Pow Block on Twitter. That you guys can find us at Pow Block Podcast. You could get more information about our Smash competition with that. We also have our quiz show happening this episode. In the coming weeks, we're going to have David, Laron from Crossroads, and Jacob as our contestants for that episode. So it's going to be amazing. You guys get your Nintendo knowledge ready because I got some questions for you.
You asked hard questions, Ed.
Ed has some real tough questions. Greysun, you were on the last one.
Yeah, I got close
the
to the
pre-show.
Yeah.
He asked like 10 questions and nobody knew the answers. But I'm sure Ed knew them all.
But I gave multiple choice, so you guys have a chance.
So you could guess it right.
Yes. We also going to be doing a Pow Block question for the community that you guys could check, and we're going to try. Hopefully, the guys are down with this fan fiction reading, where we're going to look at a fan story and actually do an audiobook style reading for it. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But that is going to come
to this live to us right now.
Yeah, we're all taken back by this.
But it's going to be later in the thing. I will talk to you guys later about it and stuff. I haven't got that running yet, but like I said, it's just something that we're going to try. Doing something new for the podcast. With that, everybody, have a great week. Have a great weekend. Tell someone that you love them. Encourage somebody. And as always, let's play video games and be better to one another, because it's really, in this time, everybody needs somebody to love and encourage and inspire them so they could make it through the day. With that, everybody, we will see you next time on Nintendo Pow Block. Bye, everybody. Woohoo!